Hello and welcome back to my sewing studio. My name is Courtney. I like to sew, knit, and thrift most of my clothes. And today we are going to be talking about knitting. I thought I would just go over all of my knitting projects that I've completed. I'm gonna sneeze. I feel like there's one more sneeze. Okay, so I got this idea from the Betty Makes Club YouTube channel. She just made a video, I think it might have been her first video, where she just went through all of her knitting projects to date. And I think that's a good idea. So that's what I'm going to do. Here is my stack of projects, and then I have one whip on the floor next to me. Before I get into that, I'll show off my outfit. If you watched my recent video, you might recognize this fabric and also this fabric. So I've completed 2 of my fall sewing plans. Have I only done 2? I'm not sure. I think I'll do maybe a recap video at the end of fall, which is starting to be now. It was minus 3 degrees Celsius today when I left the house. So I'm also wearing leggings under these linen pants because I would have been too cold. I digress. Let's get through these projects. The first project that I ever knit, and this is actually not the first project I ever knit because I knit when I was younger. My grandma taught me to knit. I knit a scarf. I'm not sure where it is now. It's probably at my parents' house. And then I didn't knit for years and years and years. And then around 2021, I had already started sewing, and I figured out that I enjoyed hand finishing things, especially if I was like watching TV or something and I was hand sewing like a hem or something like that. I really enjoyed it because it's something to keep my hands busy instead of scrolling on my phone while I'm watching TV, which is so bad, but we all do it. And so I thought, I think knitting would make me feel the same way. So I decided I wanted to take up knitting and like learn how to knit again. And the first project I knit was made with the same yarn, but in yellow and like oatmeal. I'll put a picture in. I frogged it because you'll see why when you see the picture. It just was not going to work out. And then the next project I did was this cardigan. And this cardigan has had a rough time of it, frankly. I just pulled it out of my mending pile where it's been sat for probably more than a year at this point. When I finished knitting it, it didn't turn out how I was expecting it to turn out. However, Olive, my kitty cat, loves hand knit garments, and she especially loved this. She loved to snuggle up in it. She loved to like go like this in it. And so I let her have it. I let it be her little snuggle thing. She had it for about a year. I never even woven the ends. And then I tried it on one day for some reason, and I felt super comfy in it, and I decided to take it back. Then I wore it for a while, but I realized it just isn't, it needs help. I think I either need to frog it and re-knit it because it's just like not tight enough. So when you wear it, it kind of stretches out. It's also heavy, kind of stretches out and like shows holes. But also it's not, I've got these like yarns. It just needs help. So I think maybe one day I will frog it and re-knit it because it was super quick. I think I knit it in like less than a week because the yarn is so bulky and it's super cozy. This is a Beatific Brenda pattern. I think it's called the Need to Have cardigan, but I made it much longer. The next thing I knit was the ranunculus jumper sweater, but I did not ever finish the sleeves, and I still kind of want to. This is made, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't know what any of the yarns are going to be, but this was made with like the softest baby alpaca mixed with acrylic. I think it was like 30% baby alpaca, 70% acrylic. And I got it in California when I was visiting some friends of mine. We went to this yarn shop and I knit up a tiny little swatch, and I had just gotten my Chiagu needles because I was getting into knitting, and I was gifted Chiagu needles for Christmas. And we went to the yarn store together and picked out yarn, and it's so beautiful. However, the gauge is not quite right. I was still figuring out gauge swatches, and so I've just never really worn it. Also, it's so warm, but then it's short sleeves, and I don't have enough yarn to add sleeves, I don't think. Although I might try just to, like, make it not roll anymore. This is also just not a color that I wear or that I think really looks good on me. But I'm touching it and it's so soft, and it makes me want to wear it. So maybe this will get a second life. Also, because it's not fully wool, I had steam blocked the swatch and nothing really happened. So I never blocked the finished object, but maybe I should block it. Maybe that would also change the way it feels. After that, I decided to enter the world of color work, and this is a pattern by who was the Petite Knitter but is now Saskia & Co. And it is the cotton grass sweater jumper. I don't know. I love this thing. Now, my problem with this is I used the wrong yarn, and I don't know if you can tell, but when I blocked it, the green yarn was hand dyed and it did bleed a little bit into the white, so it's got like a bit of a green tint to it. It grew a lot because the green is a superwash merino and modal, and it grew a lot, and the white was I want to say it was like a silk cashmere merino blend. I'm not too sure. I picked the green first. I saw it at the store. Maybe you can see the variegation. It's so beautiful. It really is so beautiful. I picked the green first, and then I asked the folks at the yarn shop to help me pick a matching, like a coordinating white to go with it, because I knew I wanted it to be cool toned, and most of the lighter colors are like natural undyed, and they're too warm for my preference. I like to wear cool tones. I think they suit me more. Please admire my little label. I had these made by a Dutch label shop. And so this is this. I freaking love this thing. I love to wear it. The drape is beautiful. And I'm not mad at it. It was my first color work. I think it went really well. It blocked so beautifully. And it got me hooked on color work. Right after I finished, this took me quite a long time. I think this took me around a year. Shortly after I finished this, I saw the Nocturnal jumper released, which is by the same designer, Saskia & Co. And there was like no hype around it when it was released. Somehow it showed up on my Instagram feed. I don't know how it got there. Probably because I follow Saskia & Co. But it was released. It had been released the day before. I hadn't seen any hype. It's so gorgeous. The original colors that she knit it in, you've probably seen this sweater if you're watching a knitting podcast or knitting video. The original colors are like oatmeal, burnt orange, and black, if I recall correctly. And I knew I didn't want those colors because I like to wear cooler colors. I love the like summerween colors. I have 2 black kitties. I definitely needed to knit this. My friend Tiffany helped me come up with this color scheme. And because I knew that I was looking for these specific colors, when I went to the local yarn shop, not the yokel shop, which is the same shop where I bought the yarn for the first colorwork sweater, I had specific colors in mind, and the only yarn that was the correct weight and the colors that I was looking for was this yarn. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll put a picture of the label or something. And it's like a pretty high percentage of acrylic or nylon. I don't know. I can't remember. I think only 50% of it is wool. And so I was nervous about how it was going to block because my color work was a little bit lumpy. This is in some area's 3 colors, which was quite a challenge for me, but I figured it out. It was so fun. I knit it so fast because I just loved it so much. I think I knit it in 2 months, and I loved knitting it. I love wearing it. It's so comfortable. I didn't block it for over a year after I finished it because I just kept wearing it and I didn't want to wait for it to dry. But once I blocked it, I love it. I really like the corrugated rib. Okay, wait. Let me talk about the sleeves. I freaking love the sleeves on this sweater. I could write a ballad about the sleeves. The thing that I love about the sleeves, I love the shape of the sleeves, but especially I love the corrugated rib on the end because it means they don't cinch in and it kind of gives it a bit of structure. They're so cozy. When I wear this, I believe this is knit with worsted weight, and it just feels like I'm wearing a sweatshirt, but cute. Like a hand knit cozy sweatshirt, but my vibe. And like, I love this sweatshirt. If you're thinking about getting into color work, it is a little challenging because there is a couple rows that have 3 colors. But I firmly believe that if you're excited about something and you want to figure out how to do it, you can. Saskia & Co.'s patterns, in my opinion, they're easy to follow. They're charted. The color work is charted. And I highly recommend it. And it's so fun and it's so cozy. And if there's anything I could recommend in this video, I think it's this sweater. The cats are olive, by the way. The only change I made is there's like a little the original pattern has one white stitch like over here, and I think it's supposed to be shine, like look reflective, but to me it kind of looked like cat butthole, so I opted to omit that. I was considering like some of these stitches where there's just one stitch, or like these 2 eyes. I was considering going over and duplicate stitching them instead of the stranded color work, but I'm not mad about my decision not to. Also, stranded color work, particularly with so many colors, is so cozy and warm. So if you live in a cold climate like I do, I'm begging you to try this sweater. The sleeves are everything. The color work is everything. The original colors are beautiful, but they're just not my vibe. Right after that, I knit some mittens with the leftover yarn. I still have quite a bit of leftover yarn. This was my gateway into mitten knitting. I love these. When I started working on them, I was worried they'd be too small, but they're actually kind of perfect. And the only issue I have with them is they're not quite warm enough for me. And I suspect part of that is because such a large portion of the yarn composition is not wool. And I live in a really cold place. Like if I wore them today, it's -3 degrees, it would be fine. But it gets very, very cold where I live, like -40 degrees Celsius, sometimes colder. That's on the extreme, but we have weeks and weeks at a time of -25, and they're not quite warm enough for that. But they were super fun, super easy. This is, I think, the world's simplest mitten is the pattern. I want to say it's a free pattern, but I'll double check and verify. I loved knitting these so much that I decided I wanted to knit way more mittens. I've only actually knit one other pair of mittens, but I would love to knit more. I would love to do some color work ones. So next up, I have this pair, and this is a free pattern. I believe it's called Martlet Lake, and it's got faux cabling. These are not real cables. They're faked with increases and decreases, and it's in pearls, and they're beautiful. This yarn is kind of a rustic feeling yarn. It's a bit scratchier, which I really like for mittens because I don't know, it just feels like I'm gonna be warm. The issue I have with these mittens, and I love them, but the issue I have is I knit one and it took a long time before I knit the other one. I don't know if you can tell, but one of them's much bigger because my tension changed between the two. This one is much bigger, it's longer, this one's tighter and shorter. And I've thought about just going back and adding a few rows, but I've never done it because I love wearing them so much that I've just never gone back to them. These feel much warmer, significantly warmer than the purple ones. I love wearing these. I love, love, love the yarn. I still have an entire other cake because I bought 2 skeins of this. And I actually bought this so the first sweater that or the second sweater I showed, I bought that yarn when I was visiting my friends in California. And then I bought this yarn when they came to visit me. And we went to a yarn shop. So I love these. Okay, something that's not shown here actually, and that should go, I think, next. And I have some footage, so I'll insert a clip here, is the, I think it's called the L sweater. And I knit it up with this yarn. Spoiler, I frogged it and turned it into this project. I knitted it with Knitting for Olive merino held together with the Knitting for Olive silk mohair, I think. And it's the color Poppy. And I was so excited to wear it. It took me so long. Again, it took me over a year to finish it. I blocked it and everything went wrong. I'll also say the pattern was a real head scratcher for me. I don't think it was written in English originally. The pattern is in English. I purchased the English version of the pattern, but I don't think it was originally written in English. And this made some of the instructions kind of confusing to me. Like, I think there might have been a couple things that got lost in translation. So I spent a lot of time being really frustrated and confused. And pretty early on, I wondered if I should just frog it and give up on it and make something else with the yarn. But I am very stubborn. Some might say determined. And so I powered through. I finished it. It was gorgeous. I Italian bound off everything. I loved it so much. It was. Next is I wanted to knit a slutty little tank top. I thought that would be, I just love the idea of a hand knit slutty little tank top. What makes it slutty? I don't know. My boobs might be out a little bit. I grew up in a fairly conservative mindset. And so having like a little bit of exposed skin, especially around my chest, I'm like, ooh, that's a little slutty, but I like it. So this is the outline tank, and I talked about it in my first video when I was preparing for my photo shoot. So I'll include some photos. I made this in, I believe, 100% cotton. It's a mercerized cotton yarn. And it's fine. I don't get much wear out of it because the armpits are just so low. I think this just needs to be worn braless, or I need to make a cute little bralette to wear with it. Next is this hat. Oh, actually, I have a project that I started in February of this year. So that one I worked on this summer, and I started working on it when we were watching Game of Thrones. I had never seen it before. We decided to watch Game of Thrones. It was like my Game of Thrones project. This is some yarn. It's the Lang Cloud Tweed. I think it's pretty popular. I've seen it online, but I actually had never seen it when I bought it. I bought it during my birthday trip when we visited Calgary, and I visited, it's the Rick Rack Textiles sister shop. I think it's called Stash Lounge, maybe. And I bought this yarn as my souvenir yarn, and it goes perfectly with this. And it also is going to go perfectly with the coat that I'm planning to make sometime here soon. I knit up this little toque, but it is, I feel like Smee. I'm gonna redo it. It's just not right. And the pom-pom is too heavy for the fabric. It's gonna be great when it's done, but this isn't quite it. Next, I love this so much. This is my kilometer scarf, and I learned about the kilometer scarf pattern from Isabella from Breathing Yarn. I freaking love this. So originally with this yarn, I had knit, like I mentioned, that L sweater. I frogged it. And I knew when I saw Isabella share this scarf, I knew that I need that scarf in my life. And I thought, I bet this yarn would be perfect for it. So I started working on this probably in August or September. I'm not sure, but I zoomed through it. I loved working on it. It's a free pattern also. It's just stockinette in the round the whole way. I did not wash my yarn after I frogged it. I just rolled it into cakes and I blocked it with my iron. Steam blocked it with my iron and it worked great. I love it. I wear it genuinely almost every day. It's so soft. It's so cozy. It feels so elevated and I'm obsessed with it. Now, the last finished object that I have. Okay, so the other yarn that I got when my friends were visiting was this hedgehog fiber sock yarn. And I had a really difficult time choosing which colorway I wanted. In fact, I made my friend's husband choose for me. I narrowed it down to 2 or 3, I think, and then I made him choose. And then when I started knitting it up, I didn't really like it that much. I just don't like the black stripes. I wish I'd gotten one that was all just soft colors, but that's okay. I knit this scarf. This is my first sock. This is my first sock that I've ever knit. It's very cute, but it's extremely tight around my ankle. I have very chunky ankles. And so for a long time, I thought hand knit socks are just not going to work for me because I have narrow feet and chunky ankles. But I really want to knit socks. I really want hand knit socks in my life. So I decided to do take 2, which is this. And I don't think I'm going to ever finish this. I think I might frog it. But for this one, I did 2x2 rib on the cuff. And then I also increased the stitch count by quite a lot. I think the first sock I had 60 stitches, and this one I started with 80 stitches. I can't remember. It's so long ago that I started this. And then I was doing the heel flap with slip stitch stockinette. Is that what it's called? I hate doing the slip stitch heel. I hate it. I hate the process of it. I hate going back in the flat. It's just not fun for me. Then I decided, so these are on 2mm needles. Then I decided I should try 2.25mm needles because I was thinking I don't want to increase the stitch count by much more. I don't want socks to take forever to knit. But also, they need to fit. Also, I needed to figure out how to shape it to my foot because I have this unique foot shape. So I think this sock is so ugly because I used my hedgehog yarn and then I used this. I think this might be 100% wool. This is actually yarn that my boss gave me. She was clearing out some things that her parents left behind in her house and she gave it to me, and it's beautiful yarn. It's just not colors that I normally gravitate towards. So I figured, why not use this for my experiment sock? And I actually was thinking I might knit socks for somebody else in my life as a gift, but I decided to, if it was going to fit me, then I just continue on as an experiment with fitting. So for this one, I cast on 81 stitches. I did 2x1 ribbing, which I got from the Summerlee sock book. I did an afterthought heel, which I loved the process of, but I'm not sure if the fit is quite right for my heel, so I need to figure that out. I did however long, like 3.5, 4 inches in stockinette. Then when I put my afterthought heel scrap yarn, I started decreasing. So you can kind of see my decreases here. I started decreasing so that it would be not too big on my foot. And then I did my toe. Don't ask me why I decided to use this contrasting yarn. It does not go together. But more than anything, I wanted to see the color change, and this was the only sock yarn I had. I wanted to see where where that transition is that I'm switching to the sock and to the heel so that I could easily recognize where to make changes next time if that's something that I deemed was necessary. This sock actually fits me quite well. It's almost a little loose in the calf or ankle part. So, and then I need to also, I need to adjust the heel. What needs to happen is this part needs to get longer. So I haven't put too much mental energy into figuring that out yet, but I know where to go from here. And I'm ecstatic that I'm well on my way to having cozy hand knit socks. And so last but not least is my current whip, which is the wave sweater. This sweater has kind of been a roller coaster for me. Not as much as the L sweater, that is for sure. But, oh no, my yarn. Okay, first of all, I'll start by saying this is for sure the most expensive sweater I've ever knit. It is 4 strands of yarn at any given moment because, please hold. It is 4 strands of yarn because I've got, so this is the main color and it was hand dyed Manos del Uruguay, I want to say. It's beautiful. I saw this yarn first and I was like, oh, that's what I want. Then I was consulting with the shop employees for their opinion because I really was interested in doing this confetti mohair silk. So I think it's silk mohair as a contrast color, but because there's some, you can see there's some light spots, and I was worried that it might blend in too much. And I was asking the staff member for her opinion, and she said, well, if you're worried, you could also hold this with mohair so that there would be that consistency. And I loved that idea. She was like, it's going to be more expensive. But I was committed. And I honestly, I don't mind investing in yarn for knitting projects because they take a long time. And it's worth it, in my opinion. So it's very expensive because we've got the hand dyed and then 3 strands of silk mohair throughout the entire sweater, but it's going to be so cozy. In the last video, I talked about wanting to block it and then try it on. And after I blocked it, I actually have a clip that'll pop in here where I was thinking, oh my goodness, the armhole, the way the reglans are just way too deep into the armpit. I need to frog back to raise up the armhole, and I need to figure out raglan shaping and blah, blah, blah. I also was thinking instead of frogging it, I could cut it. I could, what's that word? Steek. I could steek it. Is it considered steeking? I'm not sure if it's actually called steeking in this case, but I was thinking I could just cut it to where the armhole starts, cut it along that line, carefully, obviously, and then frog up to wherever I want the armhole to start, split for sleeves, knit back until I got to the same stitch count with, more increases, and then, or just cast on more sleeves under the arms, and then sew this on, like graft it on. I brought it over to my friend's house for a craft afternoon. We were knitting together and I tried it on for her and she was like, I think it's fine. So I decided to pick up my first sleeve and that's where we're at. So I started this. Can't remember if I started it on Valentine's Day 2025, but I did buy the yarn for it at that time. And I think that's all of my knitting projects. I'm hoping to finish this. I would love to finish it before the end of November for Christmas for sure, because it's so cozy. It's so warm. Like it's so many layers of yarn and it's so fuzzy and it's so soft and it's so beautiful. Oh, I love it. And if in the end I decide the fit is weird, I will frog it and make something else with this yarn because it's A, expensive, and B, beautiful. All right, that's all I have to say. I'm shocked that we haven't been interrupted by a cat, but maybe I can bring one of them in here to say hello. Come here, puss. Come here, Tiny. I don't think Olive's made it into the video yet, so we got to get her in here. Come here. Come on, baby. Come on. She's really happy that I called her. Olive is a Olive is kind of a needier cat. She is very sensitive. She's kind of like an insecure partner who needs a lot of reassurance that you really, really, really do love her. And if she hears us calling her brother, her tail starts twitching and her ears go sideways. Like, she gets so jealous. And so, because I just called her over, she's really happy. She's here beside me. I'm going to pick her up, hopefully. Come here, baby. Come here. Come here. Oh my goodness, she's such a baby. I don't know if I'll be able to. She's just so pretty. I love her so much. Let me tell you about Olive. Olive looks like she has one eye. You want a kiss? She has both of her eyes, but one of her eyes is damaged. And these two kitties, they are brother and sister. And when I adopted them from the rescue agency, they were super young. They were only 9 weeks. They were only 4 weeks old when I met them, actually. And their gotcha date is coming up. Their gotcha date is just a few days away, actually, in 3 days, I think. Right, baby? But when I got them, they had actually been brought into the rescue by a family who was walking their dog, and their dog found this nest of kittens outside and attacked it. And there was 5 kittens, and 3 of them survived, and 2 of them were Olive and Feta, and the last one, his name was Anchovy. And we couldn't take Anchovy; he was too shy, and the rescue wanted him to go to a family who had older cats already to help him be calm. So he took Olive and Feta. Originally, I only applied for Feta because he looked like an old, grumpy, cute man. Actually, I applied for Olive or Feta because they were both so freaking adorable. I knew they'd go fast. And come here. When I went to see them, Olive came and fell asleep in my elbow, and I could not leave her behind. And she still loves to sleep in that same spot. But she's so needy. She needs so much attention. Come here, baby. Come here. We think her eye is damaged from the dog attack, but we don't know for sure. When I first got her, the rescue told me she had an eye infection, so I was giving her eye drops, but it just wasn't getting better. And when I took her to the vet, they said, it's not an eye infection. There's nothing wrong with her. Her eyelid is just deformed. And so they said we could give her surgery if we wanted to, if it seemed like it was bothering her, but it really doesn't slow her down. It doesn't even seem to bother her depth perception. Maybe like a little bit, but I think her vision's mostly fine. She's been like this ever since she was a baby anyway. And the vet said that it probably would be more disruptive to her than necessary. So far, no surgery for her. But her name is Olive. We usually call her Puss. Okay, I guess that's it. Should we have one last? Tiny. We also call her Tiny because she was so small when we first got her compared to Feta, especially. Her little nose was like the size, and anyone who has a kitten, this isn't new information, we're all obsessed with our kittens, but her little tiny nose was the size of those little erasers on mechanical pencils that are so small. So yeah, we call her Tiny still to this day. All right, thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to know what you're knitting and working on. If you're not knitting, whatever projects you might have going on. If you're just here to vibe and you're not a maker yourself, I would love to know what you're up to this weekend. And I hope you have a great day. I hope you stay cozy. I hope your creative cup is fulfilled. And bye.